And we are live with session 13 of the game. Luckily, it is not a Friday, so I imagine we're pretty safe. And we'll see how this goes. The last recording did not work, and so there is no video for me to review, so I'm in the same boat as all of you when I ask the question of, does anyone remember what happened last time? Would anyone like to give the recap for a hero point, and also remember to reset your hero pools to 1?
I'll give the recap if no one else wants to.
I mean, I always feel like it's cheating for me to give the recap because I have, like, notes.
I don't know if that's cheating or if that's just, like, being good and studious.
To be fair, my notes
like,
are also written by
cheating?
Akalupu, so I don't know how useful they actually are.
Well, last time we just had you read the notes as the overview. So, honestly, that's fine.
We could do that again. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can read the notes, and there's a lot of, like, holes in the notes because Akalupu's dumb and doesn't write things down clearly. So, yeah, people can feel free to, like, jump in.
Sounds good.
So his notes start out with blue spirits bad. Tried to get us to eat unnatural meats grown on plants. Tower or whirlpool, question mark. Each spirit has different advice, very confusing. Chose whirlpool, almost died going down the stairs. Again, blue spirits bad. Stairs.
What stairs?
Abe, I'll give the recap.
No, you said again.
Yeah,
No, I said again, blue spirits are bad.
Oh, I think we almost died going down the stairs again. I'm like, what other stairs did we almost die
went down
on?
them once.
Okay.
But we almost died going down them.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for hero point.
Right? That worked out very well. You guys just barely made it out of there.
Yeah. Made it to the safety of the boat and go down the whirlpool. Underwater but can breathe. See lights and sounds that are so strange and unexplainable.
That was a big word for Akalupu. 3 syllables?
Right?
Strange sights, very confused to poor Akalupu.
Right? Landed on giant whale. Stopped Manawanui from provoking. Well, from making mad.
Alright, well, cool. I definitely think we should read those, but yeah, there are enough holes in there. We need a real recap. So, who wants to volunteer?
I'll do it.
Alright, well, if there's not at least 2 mentions of stairs in your recap, I'm very upset.
There'll be 2 mentions of stairs, just not, going down them twice. So, after our experience with the giant jellyfish, which I think was the session before last.
Correct.
We sailed and found. Actually, I think we found the island at the end of last session as well. But we sailed around the island 3 times before we landed to avoid breaking the kapu. We landed on a beach and found some giant stairs, on which some ghosts or a ghost at first was walking, and then more ghosts appeared, and they led us to the top. They said that they could help us, and then there was a bunch of puppies, and people kept trying to give us this weird meat, and everybody was telling, hey, no woofing. And there was a bunch more ghosts up there, and some were telling us that we should jump in the whirlpool to get to the other side. Some were telling us we should go into the tower, and that if we jumped in the whirlpool, we'd die. And the people who told us to jump in the whirlpool said that if we went in the tower, we'd die. So at the end, we decided to go down, sail our ship into the whirlpool. At which case, a lot of the ghosts got angry because they wanted us to stay longer and eat some meat that was growing on plants. And I just want to say I never trusted the puppies for a second.
You came very close to killing at least 2 of the puppies. You were light 1 on fire. and you were going to throw the other one in the whirlpool.
This is hey man. How do we know? How do we know what those puppies are really up to?
Right. Once you get to a certain age, you just stop caring.
Hold on. Tell him I accidentally disconnected. So.
Abe accidentally disconnected himself.
All right.
Sorry, y'all. I'm back. Anywho. And then after that, we went down. We thought we were going to die because we couldn't breathe. But then we did breathe. We could breathe the water.
Mm-hmm.
Mark?
Yeah.
And
whatever it was. Like, it wasn't necessarily water. But yeah, as you were being sucked down to the depths of the ocean, you found that you were able to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Which is good because PPOP had managed to drop his conch shell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which would have been
good.
if you had needed to breathe. And
We would have been SOL.
Yeah. So you're lucky there.
After we landed on the whale, I was very skeptical of this whale, and a little confused because I'm kind of an old man. So I PPOP, not PPOP.
Do you remember the whale's reaction to you though?
He was very nonchalant and kind of annoyed with us.
Yeah, he was annoyed and thought you guys were gross.
Yeah. And after realizing where I was and the size of the whale, Manawanui question mark calmed down and decided not to try and kill the whale and asked for advice and directions instead.
Yeah.
I think that was the end.
Yeah, and then the best you've been able to piece together from all of the vague memories that you've had, are that you fell in, right? You jumped into the volcano, which was not actually a volcano; it was a different entrance. Ended up in the spirit world. Ended up wandering around and got lost in a maze for a while, and eventually found a witch who cursed you to age quickly.
Yes.
And then, as you've been aging quickly, which, by the way, you do feel significantly older. You feel now. Your character doesn't know that they have elvish blood, but that's literally the only reason that your character would still be alive at this point. They would have long since died otherwise.
Okay.
And you would feel like a year older every day.
Oh. So if I wasn't elvish, not that I know, but if I wasn't, I would have died.
Yeah, if you were not elven, and this is out of character knowledge.
Yeah,
if you were not elven, you would be dead days ago, but
days.
Years, when every day is a year. Yeah, you would be super dead because remember you're an elf, so you have a very long lifespan, and you're still old AF.
That's it. Yes, Anna.
And then the idea is that if you can go back to where you came in because of the weird way that time works, and you're not sure where you got this idea, whether you came up with it on your own or someone in the spirit world kind of helped you out, it's not clear.
It's like one of those Inception things. I'm I don't think it's just there for some reason.
Right, exactly. So you're not sure exactly where the idea came from, but the idea is if you go back to where you came in, because of the weird way that time works in the spirit world, you can get there before your character would have, at least before they got wandered off and got lost, possibly even before you fell in. Stop yourself from doing that and get out.
Well, can I find myself before I fell in? Because I think when I fell in is when I jumped into the volcano, right?
Yep. So that's the question. You're not sure what you're going to find at the other entrance. You just know that for the weird timey-wimey stuff to work, to get to Manawanui and keep him from having done all this stuff, and again, presumably you are Manawanui. The best you're able to piece together your foggy memories, that would seem to be the case. That you can, you need to go from this other entrance and get back to where Manawanui initially fell in. So
Oh, okay.
hopefully that like cleared up what you do and don't know.
It does. It does.
All right.
I know that I know nothing.
Pretty much.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
All right. Yeah, and then I forget whether or not we left off on the proper cliffhanger. Again, we lost the video, so I don't remember for sure if I did this. But if not, I should have. And the way it would have ended would have been you guys finally finished up with the whale and decided not to pick a fight with someone who could crush you with, the whale equivalent of their pinky finger.
It's
and
pinky fin.
Exactly, the pinky dorsal fin.
It's not as dork.
And then you hear a voice. So if you remember correctly, what your surroundings look like, or as you were coming down, you saw this glowing, and then now that you've fallen in, everything is similar to a dense forest, but none of it is the kind of typical surface vegetation that you would expect. Instead, it's these giant glowing mushrooms and these weird fern-looking things that kind of like seem as to move as though they were under the ocean in a water's current, just moving on their own. And just very unusual colors. There's a lot of purples and greens, but thankfully, because of these huge glowing mushroom trees, there is light. So being able to see around you is not an issue. Which I think Manawanui, I forget if, I don't think you in character noted it, but I forget if last time you noticed that this does look very different from what you saw last time you saw into the spirit realm, where you were seeing a mirror image up in the sky, and everything looked more or less the same as what you were used to.
That's right. I don't know if my character remembers that, though.
Yeah, so like I said, I know in character nobody pointed it out, but I just thought out of character, if you guys hadn't noticed that, I forget if Abe, you had brought that up, but that is a point, that it does look very different from the spirit realm that you saw before. And yeah, so then you hear from the vegetation behind you a strange voice calling out to you that is probably a fairly familiar voice to one of you. But it says, so you've made it. So at least one of your characters should recognize that voice.
Probably mine. Or at least the way you delivered it sounds like Ka.
It is. It does sound like Ka. So you have heard that voice behind you.
What's up, my homie?
Well, it seems that you're very much down, so that would be what is up. And coming out of the vegetation, you see, and this is the first time that you've seen him in any sort of light. The last time that you met with Ka, you were in the tunnel underground, and you never got a good sight of him.
Yeah, it was pitch black. I just know he has scales.
Yeah. And the only other clue you might have regarding this reveal is that your tattoo, all of your tattoos had been your spirit animals, and your tattoo was an axolotl. And so that would be your only clue to this reveal, which as he steps out into the light, you see a large, kind of like pony-sized in terms of height, but obviously in terms of mass, it's much larger than that. Axolotl. The entire creature is completely white and kind of pinkish. And then it has markings across its entire pattern in a scrimshaw shape. So that if you've never seen that, that's kind of like a whirly kind of pattern. I don't know, it looks really cool. And these white, slightly glowing marks across its entire body. So yeah.
Can it be caught in a bucket?
You definitely would not. You would need a very large bucket.
I don't know when the last time you played like Minecraft is. But there are axolotls in Minecraft, and you can capture them in buckets.
Nice.
Anywho.
But yes, you would need a very large bucket to capture this axolotl. This one, like I said, it's about the height of a pony, and if you kind of like scale that out to the axolotl's body shape, it's quite large.
So like a swimming pool sized bucket.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm sure Akalubu could carry that around for you.
Of course. Akalupu can do everything.
Well then, welcome to the spirit world. I thought I should come by and say hi, considering this is your first time.
You look different than I was expecting. You have legs.
Yes, I do. And so do you, I might add.
But you got more.
That is true. And you look much how I suspected, though perhaps a bit shorter?
Hey, watch it. I got knives.
That's true. You actually do have real knives now. It's not just pointy sticks. It's mostly pointy sticks, but you do have 2 knives. That is very true.
I've got knives and I'm overconfident in their ability to kill things.
Yes, well, that confidence may very well be of a benefit to you. What brings you to the spirit world?
Our old friend here needs to get back to break some spell, I think. I don't know. He hasn't really elaborated.
He's old and he yells a lot.
Well, that doesn't seem like the best reason to be here. I don't know how much you've been told about this realm, but things are quite dangerous here. I wouldn't recommend wandering about lightly.
More dangerous than jumping in a whirlpool?
I would say yes. Though
Oh, yikes.
jumping in the whirlpool was also part of coming to the spirit realm, so they seem to be rather interrelated. Do you know even where it is that you are trying to go?
We need to go to the labyrinth! The labyrinth!
Alright, are you actually trying to go to the labyrinth? Because that's where you found the witch who cursed you.
Oh, that's
So that's
true.
like the
Don't
the
listen
last
to me. I'm an old
place you
man.
want to
I'm confused.
go. Do you want to retcon that, or do you want to just be a confused old man?
We'll go with confused old man. Oh, no, not the labyrinth, confarnate, the portal.
A portal? There are many such portals here. I'm afraid you'll need to be more specific.
Do you know of any
Do I remember
portals that
anything
lead to a
identifying?
volcano? Because we got in by the volcano.
Yes, so, yeah, it's a volcano entrance. There was lava, and this is everyone, not including Maunui. I'll answer your question in a second, Abe, of anything you remember from once you were in. But everyone else, that it was a volcano entrance, that there was lava pouring down through it, and that it was on your island, so depending on how much like the relationship between the real world and the spirit world are, that might be helpful. And then, as for the old man there, you remember the sound of bells.
Bells?
Yes. Now, none of your friends know what bells are,
Do I
but
know what a bell is?
you, for some reason, you do know the word bell. You're not
Uh,
sure when you learned it, but yes, you do know what bells are, and you remember the sound of bells chiming.
we need to go to the bells. The bells. I'll just kind of like mutter off the bells.
Uh,
Kind of go to a
so
Vietnam
you.
Okay.
flashback.
See, I can do it too.
So you need to reach a portal. Do you mean an entry to the spirit realm?
I, I would I know it by that name?
What, the spirit realm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If nothing else, everyone else in the group does, and you said you needed to go back there, so I'm assuming that your character understands that this is the spirit realm.
I thought we were in the spirit realm.
Yes, and you said you needed to reach a portal. There are many portals in the spirit realm, leading to many destinations, some of which are more desirable than others. So, by a portal, do you mean you are looking to reach an entrance to the spirit realm? Or are you looking for a portal to some other location?
I I
Does someone want to help the old guy out?
I'm kind of enjoying watching this.
You're just like over there with popcorn, like it's like a train wreck. I can't look away.
Yeah, let's let Ka deal with this nonsense.
I I looking for an entrance to the the spirit realm. I think.
I see.
I'm getting
So,
like visibly tired by like trying to think about it.
you needed to drink your brain juice. Um, so, an entryway to the spirit realm near bells. Well, there is one candidate that comes to mind. The clock tower, perhaps.
What do you want, Cordelia? My dog's being a butt.
As you are new here, and I don't wish your adventures to end quite yet, Phoebe, I am willing to join you as a guide, if you would appreciate my services.
Hell yeah. You could teach me all kinds of new stuff.
Yes, there will be plenty of time for education on our
Just
journey.
like the old days.
Yes, I imagine some of what I told you has already come in handy. Well,
To be honest, most of what you said to me, I do not, did not, and still do not understand. So, we'll tackle that first.
now, to be fair, some of it did actually help you out. Like you were able to figure out about the gases that almost choked you out, partially because of stuff that he had taught you about. And there are a few other times where knowledge that he gave you was somehow useful. So a large, whiny, and booming voice behind you is like, "Are you guys still here? I can't even look at you, gross, weird, dangly meat bags. Just go already." It's the whale.
Shut up, fatso.
Blubbers.
It's not very nice.
He had the anger issues.
He actually starts to cry, and you see an enormous tear welling up in his eye, and it starts to roll down, and it is kind of coming towards you, and it's like a swimming pool's worth of water rapidly rushing toward your location.
Okay, better run.
All right. So you guys manage to get out of there as the tear crashes in behind you, hard enough to cause the ground to shake, almost causing you to fall over. I'm sure that Manawanui has to grab Sammy to keep her from tripping over her own feet. But you guys manage to make it out.
Lesson number 1. Do not insult creatures that are 20 to 50 times larger than oneself.
Not until you get like the giant slayer specialty, and then like extra damage against creatures that are 2 or more sizes larger than you. Like then you go after them.
There you go.
Alrighty. So you guys head off on your journey. The areas around you continue to be very strange, with odd noises coming out of the vegetation, and occasionally you'll catch glimpses of unusual things, unusual creatures who are poking out, or flying by, or making horrible noises, or whatever. And some of them have multiple heads. Some of them are, strange chimeras, and occasionally you'll see trees that look far too suspiciously as though they had a face that was watching you as you went by. And one thing, just so that you can start thinking about it, is I want each of you to be thinking of one weird adventure that you have before you reach your destination. Because as we get toward the end, I'm going to ask each of you to give me something that happened to the group. So just kind of let that percolate as we go on. So you are traveling through, and most of you are just glazed eyes over. I'm sure that Manawanui is just kind of muttering to himself as usual, and Pipiopi and Ka are up in the front. And Ka is continuing to talk about strange things that none of you understand. And he's already tried to explain what bells are, what metals are, how metallurgy works, how forging works, and he's now trying to explain how sound waves travel through the air. And why hitting a bell would make such a loud noise, because for some reason you had been wondering about that, considering the what Manawanui had said earlier about bells. Unfortunately, he seems to have made very little progress on any of that sinking in.
So, why go through all that trouble when you could just blow into a horn?
Well, suppose that you wanted to make a sound loud enough that an entire, well, you wouldn't know what a city is, an entire island could hear it. If
Just
you were,
blow harder.
perhaps if the horn were large enough.
Akalupu could do it.
Akalupu would try, I agree.
I could hear Akalupu without a horn from anywhere on the island.
No, the island is big enough that feels like it's true, but it's not. All right. And so this conversation is going on, and when you hear the sound of someone crying from just off of the trail, It's just these loud wailing sobs. And so, as you've been traveling, generally, if something is a bad idea, Ka has kind of been like, don't leave the trail, or that tree will eat you, or don't pet that kitty. It's actually a poisonous, tarantula or something. I don't know. Whatever weird stuff has gone on. But in this case, he doesn't seem concerned when you guys notice the sounds. So, does anyone want to go and look?
Hopefully it's not another oversensitive whale.
Is Chris the first whale? That's why he went to go cry.
Alright, I missed the first part. What was that?
I just said it's the first whale. He just
But you
went there to
still heard
cry.
it. There you go. I think you would have heard it if something that large had moved near you. There's no way that whale moves around without destroying entire kilometers of the forest around him while he does it. All right, so is anyone gonna go look through the foliage at the edge of the trail to see what it is?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
All right. So you go over, and what you see is a.
I'd been muted. Sorry.
You've been-
I had said multiple times that Akalupu wanted to go look at it.
all
I was
right.
wondering why nobody was responding.
All right, so the two of you go over the edge of the trail and just kind of look through the vegetation, and you see an enormous one-eyed man sitting on a tree shaped like a modern porcelain toilet. It's like a stump, but it's carved out in the shape of a toilet, and he's just sitting there with his pants down, sitting on the toilet, and just bawling his eyes out. Well, his eye out because he only has the one.
Hello, giant man. Do you require assistance?
I don't even know anymore. It's just so sad.
Akalupu is wondering what is sad.
Well, you see, there was this tree, and it told me I was ugly.
Well, clearly the tree is false. You are a fine-looking giant.
Really?
Of course. Look at how large you have muscles.
That is true. I do have large muscles. I think my muscles are bigger than that tree, even.
I agree. So what can the tree say that would mean more than that?
You know what? You're right, tiny little bug. I think I'm gonna go over to that tree and I'm gonna tell it that its leaves are really stinky.
There we go. And if it does not agree, then you can punch it.
Yeah. And he stands up, pants still down. All of you are scarred for life. Um, and just doesn't even bother to pull his pants up. He just starts running, which just rips his pants in half. And he just goes running off down the hill. Once again, every footstep thundering.
What a strange person.
Yes, there are many interesting characters here. Some of them are spirits of those who once lived in the world above. Others have been here all their lives. Perhaps he was a child when he died. That would explain his mental aptitude, or lack thereof.
Who doesn't understand? He feels like he connected very well.
Well, shall we move on?
Yes.
And after the giant got up, you can also there's like also a horrible stench coming out of the toilet, but you also see some shimmering light. Seems like something shiny and reflective is in there.
Yeah, I was just about to say I kind of want to go see just to sate my own curiosity, like how big a giant's poop actually is.
All right, so Peepiopi, you peek into the toilet. You actually have to climb to even get up to the lip
Yeah,
of the toilet.
I'm gonna grab some moss and fashion it as like a loop around my face, so I don't have to smell it anymore.
It is sadly not as effective as you could hope, but it is better. So let's get a climb check to see if you can get up this toilet.
Acrobatics? Question mark. Oh, there's a
yeah, there
guy
should be a
I can
climb
check.
action. Because I mean, it used to be its own skill, but I think it's athletics.
Okay.
Let me pull up
I
the
see
guide.
mount. I see leap.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the guide to see if I can find it.
Climb. That is athletics.
Cool. That's kind of what I thought. All right, so roll me athletics.
Oh, nat 20.
Dang. All right. Well, so an odd thing happens, and something you hadn't really noticed up until this point. But as you kind of like go to start climbing it, you expect not to find much purchase because it's smooth wood. But as you go up and try to grab it, your fingertips actually kind of like like stick on. And looking down at your hands, you notice that your skin has gone a slightly whiter color than normal, and you have like little pads on your fingers.
Guys, are you
And
seeing this? I'm like part spider, part man. Call me Spider-Man.
you mean man spider? Obviously. But yeah, so you're able to just spider your way up there. And yeah, you reach the top of the toilet with absolutely no problem. And you look in, and to answer your question, the size of a giant's dump is about the size of you.
Oh my god.
And while the odor is indeed foul, visibly, it actually isn't nearly as bad. It looks like a pale blue-green translucent blob.
I don't know
And
what this guy's eating, but
probably the
he's got
glowing
some
mushrooms.
good-looking poop.
And then you see in the center of that blob, there is a shiny yellow object.
Get it, get it, get it.
Hey, Akalupu. It looks really tasty. There's something. It almost looks like, some barbecue chicken
Akalupu does
in
not
the
eat things
toilet.
that smell like that.
Don't you want the barbecue chicken?
Akalupu does not eat things that smell like that.
Okay.
However, Akalupu does like shiny things.
Well, do you want the shiny thing?
Akalupu loves shiny things. Akalupu's, I'm gonna guess, gotta try to climb up there too.
Yep. Let's get an athletics.
you want me to roll that?
If you could roll that, that'd be fantastic.
I think you should do it while burping the baby. I think it'd be more impressive.
I mean, I could get there eventually, but
Also,
Yes,
other
sir.
than just spidering your way up and making the man spider joke, did anyone like take more interest in the weirdness? Because you might want to also look at yourselves at some point, or not. You can
What
wait.
would that be? Would that be athletics?
yes,
To climb?
athletics.
Yeah. Akalupu got a 25.
All right.
It was a 19 plus 6, so it wasn't a nat 20.
All right. Akalupu is able to climb up as well, just by like punching holes in the side, probably, and using those as handholds.
Yep, sounds
So,
about right.
in fact, Akalupu does make it up to the top. And yeah, you see the shiny golden object in the center of this extremely foul-smelling translucent blob. It is in the center, so you will need to reach like all the way to the shoulder to get to it.
Akalupu's gonna do it.
All right, let's get a fortitude check to see if you truly have the stomach.
Akalupu rolled a 22.
All right. Akalupu does. As you touch it, it's still warm. You can feel the steam coming off. It is thick and moist and unpleasant and smells horrible. Akalupu throws up in his mouth more than once, but does manage to reach all the way up to his shoulder and grab the object and pull it back out. And your entire arm is now extremely befouled.
Is there any like water or anything?
We can always go make a elephant cry. Not an elephant,
a whale.
whale.
Not near you. So you are on like a hill,
Okay.
and then the toilet is just like sat on top of this bald hill. So there is nothing immediately nearby.
Here, use this moss as a wipe.
Yeah,
Alright.
Akalupu's gonna do that. Try to get as much off of it as he can. When he climbs down, is there dirt on the ground? I'm assuming some sort of a.
Yeah,
dirt.
it's like a clay. Everything is like weirdly moist, so it's like this wet clay on the ground.
Yeah, Akalupu's gonna take that and just like try to take a dirt bath for his arm.
Alright, you get most of it, like the actual material off. However, it still smells horrible.
Okay, Akalupu's gonna like just cover his entire arm in clay.
Alright, you now have a clay arm. It still smells bad.
All right.
Less bad. Because most of it's
Akalupu,
covered,
what did
but...
you find? Let's get to the good part. What is the thing?
Alright. It is a round golden thing object with little like pointy tips on the end. Looks kind of like a hat, maybe.
Akalupu has a shiny. It's a pokey shiny.
Well, let's save it for later. It may come in handy.
Akalupu's gonna put it in his bag with the rest of his shinies.
Alright.
Also, if glowing mushrooms are in there because they were shiny.
The glowing mushrooms? What glowing mushrooms?
A few parts of like a few glowing plants, like little glowing plants, or
Okay.
pieces of glowing plants.
Yeah, finding small glowing plants around is not hard. Now, getting one of the glowing mushrooms would be, considering that they're like the size of large trees.
Oh yeah, no, just like the little glowing plants. A few of those.
Alright, well, they, as soon as they're picked, start to dim, but they are still glowing slightly. For the time being.
Anytime that like one of them dims significantly enough, he like throws it out of his pack and picks a new one.
There you go.
So he's literally just following everybody picking flowers.
All right, so you guys get back underway then.
Let's show this shiny object to Ka, see if he knows what's going on.
But it's Akalupu's shiny object.
Well,
Akalupu doesn't
would
want to give.
Akalupu like to show it to Ka?
Okay, but only Akalupu can touch it.
Frankly, I don't want to touch it, so...
Yeah, it still smells.
Akalupu's gonna take it over and show it to Ka, but like far enough away that Ka can't like grab it.
All right, well, Ka is fine with that because it smells bad. I see. You found a crown.
What is a crown?
A crown is a piece of headwear that denotes the proper ruler of a region or country. Basically, to put it in terms that you'll understand, it's a hat that says you're in charge.
Akalupu immediately puts it on.
And PPOP is like, hey, why don't you ever explain things in terms I can understand?
And now your head smells disgusting.
I don't know if you guys could hear the growl. Oh, shoot. My phone died.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So you've been missing everything that everybody's been saying?
No, my phone just died.
Just now? Okay.
I don't know if they could hear the growling. But I like to think that was Monomanui.
Yeah, as Manui's doing, is just like scratching at the ground and growling like a strange dog.
Makes sense. Alright. So you continue to travel on. As you're going, you do come across a river. And so Monoanui, if you or not Monoanui, Akalupu, if you would like to wash things.
Yes.
Unless you just want to continue to stink.
No, Akalupu definitely wants to wash everything in the river.
Alright.
Wait, don't get in the water. Ka told me it's unsafe. Wink, wink.
Ka like starts to say something, but then when he sees you wink, he goes,
Akalupu is going.
Yes, it's terribly dangerous in the water. There could be a giant fish, or perhaps it could even put you to sleep forever.
Akalupu is not afraid of giant fish. But, sleep. Maybe we should have brought one of those puppies with us. To test the water.
Yeah, just put a Chi-Chi in there.
Akalupu is going to push. Yeah, I'm muted on yours.
Oh.
So that there's not an echo.
That makes sense.
Smart.
Monoanui is going to push. Not PPOP. Good gracious. What's your character's name?
Monoanui's gonna push Monoanui?
No, Akalupu is going to push Monoanui
Who am
into
I
the
again?
river.
Alright. Monoanui, are you going to try to do anything to avoid this happening? Do you want to try and roll something to dodge being pushed?
My phone did die. Yes, I would like to do something to avoid being pushed. Monomanui is just going to stand there and then just sidestep at the last second.
Alright, so in that case, because it is now opposed, Anna will need you to actually do an attack roll. So you're trying to do a bull rush. Monoanui or Akalupu needs to do a bull rush to try and push Monoanui. So basically, just roll an attack.
We are just so like basic attack.
Yeah, don't you have a bull rush skill?
Let me see if we can find.
Bestial charge.
There's also a shove action.
Probably bestial charge.
Okay, actually, shove makes sense. So go ahead and pull. Go ahead and roll athletics.
11.
All right. I don't think there's no way. What's your AC, Monowanui? It's got to be higher than that. Anyway, you fail, but you didn't critically fail, so you don't like fall in yourself unless you want to.
I guess I'll probably just fall because I'm not expecting him to be at all useful.
Yeah, Monowanui has an AC of 16, so you definitely miss. Alright, so Monowanui, through luck or actual intent, manages to dodge. And Akalupu, you go falling face first into the river, spluttering. It's extremely just icy cold. But to be fair, you've already gotten a head start on washing that arm.
Watch out for the killer crocs.
I'm gonna. Hey, wait a second. There is no danger here.
You say as a very large something goes like splashing into the water a short distance away. You know, like the way crocodiles go in, where it's like half splash and half just like a slosh. It's like that.
Like a slorp.
Exactly. A slurp. Except this sounds like a very large thing slurping into the water.
Okay, wait, I was kidding, but that actually sounds dangerous.
Akalupu is not afraid of giant beasts.
Right, you look around, you don't see anything. Not even ripples on the surface of the water to indicate that there are any creatures around you. However, it is a river, so most of the currents are just from the river flowing.
Alright, well, Akalupu is gonna go ahead and just finish washing off.
Alright.
Does Akalupu being in the water activate any of his sharkedness?
So if you're actually looking at Akalupu and paying attention, you actually do notice that his skin color has gone grayer than normal, and he seems to have sprouted a dorsal fin on his back.
Dude, check out your back.
Akalupu spins around multiple times trying to see his own back.
No, with your hand, dummy.
Akalupu feels his back.
Alright. It's right in the small of your back, and your muscles are way too big for you to have any flexibility in your arms. I'm sorry, you can't reach there.
Oh no. Someone get this man a mirror.
My muscles.
But for real, like, there's no way the Rock can reach that part of his back.
No,
yeah.
that's so true. I knew a few wrestlers in high school. They were so jacked they couldn't even like touch their sides. Like their arms were just like out.
We've almost got it. You just need to keep reaching.
Akalupu.
Wait, am I muted on you? There we go. Akalupu continues to try to reach and is like throwing himself backwards, trying to get there.
Just a little further.
This is hilarious to watch.
You're like, if I had a phone, I would so be recording this right now. Alright, so you guys continue along the path for some ways, and things are different but the same. The plants seem to change slightly, but they're all still kind of strange. All of the plant life continues to sway as though pushed by some unseen current, just very languidly. And you come up to a fork in the road, and there you see running up one of the forks toward you is a fox walking on his hind legs and wearing strange clothing. He seems to be wearing black pants and some sort of black long-sleeved shirt with buttons on the front and a white shirt underneath. And some sort of strange black necklace that is tied around underneath the collar of his shirt and then runs down to some distance down his shirt, kind of hidden partially by the jacket that he's wearing. So I would imagine you guys know what that is out of character.
Is he wearing a strange hat that is tall and flat on top as well?
Yes. Yes, he is dressed in a suit and tie. Not that your characters know what that is. And he's carrying a strange square-shaped bag made out of leather in one hand, and in the other, he's talking into some shiny slab of like rock, perhaps.
Guys, it looks like the key! It looks like the key! Akalupa says in a very out of character bit of wisdom for himself.
Yeah, it does look slightly like the key. It doesn't have the same like glowing shapes or patterns on it, and it isn't shaped the same, but in terms of the materials, it is similar.
Also, Akalupa wants the bag.
So he comes up and he's talking on the phone. He's like, I know, okay. Yes, I'm almost home. Don't worry about. No, I'm not late. I was not seeing Laureen. I was at work. I had to work late. No, don't talk like that. Oh, there's someone here. I've got to go. I'm sorry. And he takes the phone away, and you can hear some sort of high-pitched voice screeching unintelligibly. At this distance, you can't make anything out. Presumably, they are saying words. And then he presses he presses his one of his paws onto the one side of the phone. And then he places the phone inside of a fold in his clothing. A rather interesting idea. And then he looks up and he goes, "Oh, I don't see too many travelers like you on these roads."
Who were you just talking to? Were you just talking to that rock?
Well, no. I mean, I was talking through it. You see, well, I was, I was talking to my wife. She's always worried about everything and a little bossy, if I have to say so myself.
Your wife is a rock?
Oh, no. My wife has another rock, and that's not a rock, it's a phone, but you see, anyway, we talk through them, and she can hear me on the other side. No. My wife is a, a beautiful lady, he says, louder than necessary.
Akalupa wants the bag.
What'd you say, Anna?
Akalupa wants your bag.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give this to you. It is important government documents, you see. But it appears we are perhaps heading the same way, and he points down the side of the fork that he did not just come down, and it's the direction that you were headed. If you're headed the same way, we could perhaps walk with each other a short way. It's getting fairly late. I could even put you up for the evening, give you a nice hot meal.
Yes, sir. And teach me how to speak through rocks.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work with any rock. You need to have very specific ones, and this one, it's the latest model Samsung Z12, and it's actually very hard to get a hold of right now. The chip shortages and all that. But if you had time, we could try to go to the mall and see if there are any available, but I wouldn't count on it. Last time I was there, everything was completely sold out. Completely sold out.
The mall? Is this the land of Amsung?
No, this is the land of the god consumerism. Yes. But you would you'd have to get a job and work and make money. Unfortunately, you don't just get things for free around there.
Work? Sounds rough.
Yes, it can be sometimes. He says as he runs his paw across his like in the way that a balding person would rub across the top of their head, except that he's not balding. But you know. Well, I really do need to get back. My wife is already very angry, and if we don't make it back soon, she's well, I will be in the doghouse.
Well, let's
Thank
do
goodness
it.
you'll only be in the fox house. Looks at the camera.
All right, so he goes trotting off.
That begs the question: do foxes keep dogs as pets?
That is a good question.
I guess we'll find out.
All right, so you guys head off, following the fox, who's walking quite quickly. Akalupu, with his long legs, doesn't have any trouble keeping up with him, but everyone else is puffing pretty hard by the time you get there. And so you come up, and you see a large square. You would assume his house, given what he said. It's completely right angles, and the entire thing is made out of some sort of transparent material, like quartz, except much more transparent than any quartz that you've ever seen. And a shiny silver material. And so it's sitting there on the edge of a mountain, kind of built halfway into it, and it stands out like a sore thumb.
Do I sense anything magical about his house?
You sense magic everywhere.
Oh.
This entire plane of existence is literally magic.
Akalupu catches up with the rest of the group because he's been picking up rocks and trying to talk into them.
Yeah, and actually a few of them have spoken back.
He's kept those.
Yeah, you've got like a little barbershop quartet going on in your bag at this point.
Mm-hmm. He's teaching them all of the traditional songs from our tribe.
And they're failing horribly because all they can do is barbershop style songs. None of them are correct.
Yeah, he's trying to teach them how to sing them with courage and oomph.
You know, and instead they're like, we will destroy you.
No, you need to sing it to make your enemies fear you.
But that's so hard. And yes, I cannot sing low, unfortunately. That was my best attempt at doing a low note.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So you get there, and he says, "Oh, come in. Oh, sweetheart." And so then you see at the doorway is a so this fox is slightly larger than a normal fox, but fairly fox-sized. And then you see standing in the doorway, wearing a I'm blanking on super obvious words. Those things that you wear when you're cooking. Apron. Yes, so wearing an apron and holding a large soup ladle in one hand, tapping it against her shoulder impatiently, with her arms crossed, is a white rabbit. And again, she's slightly larger than a normal rabbit, but still very much rabbit-sized. But these are like not quite as anthropomorphic as, say, Zootopia animals. They're more like Wind in the Willows style.
Akalupa is very curious to see if they have children.
And so she says, "Oh, so you're late and you brought guests? Well, thank you for warning me." Don't be like that. These nice folks met me on the road and they saved me from a giant hawk, didn't you?
Akalupu punched it with its face.
Yes.
Also, look at my rocks.
Hello,
He's very
hello, and goodbye. And then they jump out of your hand back into your bag. She says, "Oh, great. Well, this is going to be wonderful, but I guess since they're already here, I'll just put more soup on. Well, come inside and wipe your feet on the rug." And then she goes inside of the house. All right. Oh, yeah, sorry about her. She's just like that sometimes. But I definitely love her. Once again, louder than necessary. And yeah, so he heads inside. You can see he does wipe his paws on the mat before he goes in. Well, I think I'll just stay out here, but you guys have fun. I'll see you in the morning. But BBOP, if you could join me sometime after your repast, I would like to discuss a few things with you. And then
All right.
Ka kind of just waddles off into an area near the house. And then he waddled away. Alright. So, do you guys go in?
Yeah, I'm starving.
Mono knew he's gonna go in after giving a very skeptical look to, not Akalupu, to Ka.
Ka is kind of sitting there. He's like licking his eyeballs with his tongue. I like lizards do. Technically, an axolotl isn't a lizard. I think they're amphibians because they're like related to frogs.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, axolotls are actually like super interesting. So they are actually you know how like frogs have the tadpole state? Axolotls are the tadpole state of their species, but axolotls never grow up. They don't, turn into the adult forms like other amphibians do. In fact, it is possible for them to reach their adult form, but you have to do really unnatural stuff to them to make it happen. Like scientists had to figure out how to even make it reach its adult form, but in nature they never do.
How do they procreate? Or
well,
how do they make new tadpoles? I guess
they are able to like procreate in that form.
That's so interesting. I wonder if they like evolved in a time when they would naturally reach that adult state, but since then like their environment has changed so much that it no longer happens.
Yeah, I mean that's what scientists are even trying to figure out is like what the heck is up with that, because part of the reason they can stay in a child state is that they are only native to like an area in Mexico, and the areas that they live in don't ever dry up, while most amphibians, they live in areas where like the water, they're living in like pools and stuff, and the water can dry up, so they need to be able to survive on land. Anyway, complete side tangent. This is not something we necessarily going too far into right now. So you guys head in.
Maybe we can do some experiments on Ka.
There you go. Just pour some acid on him and be like, "Why are you screaming?" I mean, it's no worse than like what scientists did do to axolotls to try and make them grow up. They just like, they have those like weird gill things like stick off the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scientist who was trying to figure out how to get them to grow up, he never figured it out. But this one guy, his plan was he just chopped their gills off repeatedly to try and
Oh
force
no!
them to become adults. But
That's rough.
axolotls, partly because they are still in this immature form, they are able to regenerate. Like you can cut off an axolotl's arm and it will just grow back a new one.
That's kind of
Yeah.
strange.
Well, that's part of the reason why they're looking into it, because they're thinking about like, I think it was like curing cancer using it, because somehow they're able to have that like constant massive regrowth without getting cancer.
Yeah, their
that's
genes are like super tightly controlled. Anyway, again, side tangent. Do you go in the house of this fox man?
Akalupu smells food. Akalupu definitely goes inside after wiping his feet and his rock's feet on the mat.
All right.
Your rocks have feet?
I mean, Akalupu thinks they do. There's one spot that's on them, so, you know. Akalupu just feels lonely. Everybody else has pets.
So you just like rub these rocks on the mat, and they're like, my butt is clean.
Yup.
All right, so you go in. Akalupu, you are going to need to make a squeeze roll to even fit through the door. Everyone else, you're going to have to crawl, but you'll fit.
What do I need to roll for squeeze?
I want to say it's athletics again.
Not acrobatics.
What did we have you roll when you were trying to get into the cave hole? Do you remember, Jason? The one where you found the key?
Squeeze through a very tight space. Acrobatics.
Okay, acrobatics.
Akalupu rolled a 19 plus 5, which is 24.
Man,
Nice.
Akalupu is crushing it.
No kidding?
Right?
It's too bad
Dude,
that
literally
all of these are on
tenses this question
non-combat
so much.
rolls.
Right?
Just gotta roll one.
Exactly.
Akalupu literally tenses his muscles so much that he, like, contracts his body.
Yeah, well, let's see if you can get back out again. But for now, you have made it inside. And yeah, so it's a very interesting, like very different from any house you've ever been into. Everything seems to be made out of these hard materials, and they're either like shiny or very smooth or very white or see-through. None of it seems to be made out of natural materials the way that you're used to, except for a few things. Like there is a surface where the bunny is rather angrily, while muttering to herself, chopping vegetables with a glittering and sharp knife made of this same a similar, very shiny silver material. And PPOP, this definitely catches your attention as you see it just easily, just effortlessly slicing through these vegetables like carrots and things that you know take some effort. But the surface that she's working on seems to be made out of some smooth and polished stone. And there's this strange altar in the middle of the room that you are currently in. It's a flat surface held up by legs. Situated around it are these objects that are round and flat, also held up by legs that have these slats coming up on only one side, and they seem to be set up around it, perhaps as idols, as part of this altar's setup. And you can hear the sound of running water coming from one of the rooms further back. And humming, and you can see the sleeve of the dark jacket that the fox was wearing earlier, kind of like poking around the door that you hear this sound coming from. Obviously, no longer with a fox in it, so it seems that he's taken it off. And yeah, you can smell. It's somewhat similar to what you remember from the crazy old hermit's place, except that the soup is obviously of different ingredients, and also instead of being in a large stone bowl over an open fire, you can see that it's a another one of these shiny silver-looking objects sitting on a flat surface. But you can hear it bubbling away, very much like the soup from the old hermit's place. And
There's lots to unpack here.
yes, it's very very unusual. You see, like there's this one place where there's this odd tall object with parallel surfaces, and stacked on top of it are these rectangular objects that seem to be made out of tree bark.
Hmm.
I'm gonna.
And did you all wipe your feet on the way in?
I thought we had to crawl in.
Yes, but the mat is on the outside, so you can wipe your feet first.
Oh.
Akalupu did, and Akalupu's pets.
Yes, Akalupu I know did. You're the only one I remember declaring one way or another, though.
Mono Anui.
Tries to wipe his feet and breaks his hip.
Mono Anui wipes his feet.
Alright, Sammy definitely does.
I feel like Manawanui should just have to like randomly make old person checks to see if he fails at random like daily objects.
Wow. Hey man, I've got like
roll
1,000
for
years experience.
roll on the incontinence table now. Alright, PPOP, do you wipe your feet?
Yes.
Alright, so you can see as you are coming in, the bunny is definitely like looking at the ground after you come in. But while she still looks visibly annoyed, she doesn't say anything. And she says, "Well, I guess make yourselves at home. There's a guest room. There's some guest rooms back there." And she points to one of the other rooms, not the one where the sounds of running water are coming from. And there's a shower, a shared shower in the hallway. That one's the second door on the left. And just try not to make too much of a mess. Do any of you have dietary restrictions or allergies I need to worry about?
Those are words.
I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Makes my life slightly easier anyway. She says as she shoves, she takes the knife and scrapes it along the wooden board that she's been using to cut up these vegetables, and pushes them into a small receptacle next to it. Well, I needed to make more soup since I wasn't planning on having this many people, so it's going to be probably another 20 minutes.
Oh, can I help? I can slice some things.
So she actually looks like a little surprised, and this is the first time you've seen her not look annoyed when you offer. She's like, "Sure, I guess I could use some help." Here, and so she she opens this strange. You see this? It looks like a flat surface behind her, right? But then she presses against it, and you see a part of the face of it just rotates away, as if it were only attached on one side. And behind it is an entire small cave filled with things. And she takes out another wooden slab before she pushes that face of it closed, and once again it closes seamlessly as if nothing were there. And then she reaches over, and you can see something that looks like the hilt of the knife that she's been using. A number of them sticking out of a block of wood. but then she pulls it out as if with ease, as if it weren't even shoved, in the entire blade into a piece of wood. Just pulls it out with ease and places the board and the knife on top of it. And she says, "Here, I still have the onions left and some cucumbers. So if you could dice the onions and slice up the cucumbers and into halves, that'd be perfect."
Yes, please. And I pick up the knife and start going to town.
All right. So you see two different vegetables, neither of which you recognize, that she has placed near your board. Uh, one of them is bulb shaped, and the other one is kind of inappropriately shaped.
I pick up the penis-shaped one first.
All right. How are you going to cut it?
Every which way. I just want to use this damn knife.
All right. So you start cutting, and the knife goes through it like a stick through the air. I'm trying to think of something you would recognize based on your past.
Like an oar through water?
No, easier than that. There's actually a lot of resistance with an oar through water.
Not if you use it wrong.
Even if you use it wrong, there's more resistance than there is with this knife through this cucumber. But yeah, and so yeah, you just start like butchering this poor cucumber. And so after a few seconds, you've gotten about halfway through the one cucumber when you hear, no, what, that's not at all what I asked for. So she,
I'm slicing the food.
No,
You know.
I said to cut them. I said I want it sliced and then halved. So she kind of like pushes you aside. Obviously, she's not large enough to do it. So if you resist at all, she's not going to succeed. But she's trying to push you over so that she can get to the stuff.
Show me these arcane ways of the knife.
All right, so she pushes those over into this hole in the it's a countertop, guys. And she pushes it in, and you see it like go down. It's a large basin on this flat surface, and you can see it goes down into a hole in the very bottom of the basin. And then she pulls on a lever, and water starts coming out of this magical stick that's sticking out over top of the whole thing. And then she flips something on the counter, and you hear a roar like a monster, just. And then she turns it off after a second.
Witchcraft.
And then she comes back over and she says, "Okay, like this." And so she does a slice into like this nice even slice. Does a couple more. Takes those, cuts those in half. There, slices and then halved. And then dicing, since I guess I need to explain this. She grabs the onion and chops off part of it, chops the onion in half, chops that half into several slices, again with very adept movements, and then those halves she cuts crosswise and says diced. All right?
Whoa. You're really good with that knife.
Well, I don't have much else to do around here. And so she puts the knife back down. All right. Hopefully you can manage from here.
I think so.
All right. So everyone else.
And so
what is?
I'm gonna, after I finish with the slicing and the dicing, I'm gonna try and stow away that knife.
All right. So let's get. There should be a conceal item skill. It used to be under something else, but. Let's see, what would it be
Conceal
under
an
now?
object. Stealth.
Yeah. There we go. Let's roll stealth.
$24.
All right. So you are pretty sure you were not noticed.
Excellent.
All right. Manawanui, Akalupu, y'all doing anything?
She told us to go down the hall, correct?
She said that there were guest rooms down the hall and that the bathroom was the second door on the right. But what she told you to do was to make yourselves at home.
Oh. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
All right. You go in, and you actually seemingly understand. You're not sure why, but you do seemingly understand what the different things are for, and do actually recognize the toilet, partly because the giant was using something that looked just like it, except made of wood, as the place that you're supposed to poop. So, if you're going to use the bathroom, you're at least not going to pee in the sink. Not unless you want to.
No, I want to look in the mirror. Is there? I assume there's a mirror.
There is a mirror in there.
I'm gonna look in the mirror and see what happens to my brain.
All right, so you look, and you are surprised, even though you have no way of knowing if this is what you looked like before, as this is the first time that you're seeing yourself. But you would have expected to have, long white hair, given your age and the many wrinkles. However, it seems that some of your hair, rather than being hair, has turned into black feathers.
Huh. Huh. Very strange.
Spends the rest of their health.
You broke up, Anna. I have no idea what you just said.
Oh, I was just saying, and then he spends the rest of the evening just staring at himself in the mirror.
Probably.
Can I pluck one of the feathers?
You can, and it hurts.
Alright, I'm gonna pluck it and I'm gonna look at it.
It looks like a black feather.
Even stranger.
It's even weirder. This black feather looks like a black feather.
I guess I'm gonna look at the bathroom and keep exploring the different rooms.
Alright. And what about Akalupu? What are you up to?
Akalupu is going to try to give some of the meat that he has to the rabbit. Because he's trying to be helpful and help with dinner.
Alright. So, well, I suppose that'll go well with it.
Oh, okay.
Here, just put it there, and she points to one of the cutting boards.
He does that. He stacks two of the meats nicely.
Alright.
Where's Sammy?
So Sammy has kind of just she looks very overwhelmed at this point, and has been vaguely wandering around just looking at things, but she's too shy to ask any questions, and she's just clearly confused about what the heck any of this even is, and she definitely squeaked when the garbage disposal went off.
Akalupu's gonna kind of go over, spend some time with her, and start opening. He's gonna just start pulling on stuff.
Alright. Yeah, you managed to figure out how to open the blinds or close them, but that's about as far as you get.
He does
figuring out
that.
how to use anything.
Yeah, he does that multiple times. He's very proud of himself.
Yeah. Alright, and then after the meat is placed, she says, "Can you cube that? Do you know what cubing is?" To PPOP.
Wait. Ka mentioned something about a cube. It's like a square. But, yeah, I could do that. It's got even sides.
Yes, exactly. Alright. If you could do that, I will keep things going. Alright, and then, Manawanui, you kind of start wandering through the rest, down that hallway. And there are a few locked doors, but mostly you kind of find the rooms. The beds are far too small for any of you, except Sammy, could fit with just a little bit of curling up. The rest of you are, well, I don't know, PPOP is about not that much taller than Sammy, so he could fit with a decent amount of curling up. The rest of you are definitely not going to fit in these beds.
What does Sammy look like? Like, what's...
Have you not seen her picture?
No, Sammy's weird thing. Like, all of us have some weird thing going on.
Does Akalupu actually look at Sammy and like pay attention?
I mean, he does, because
All right.
he's weird.
All right, so you notice, and you're not sure how you hadn't noticed it until this point, but Sammy actually has a tail and little mouse ears.
Oh, she was cute.
Akalupu doesn't know why. He just finds her adorable and blushes and like turns away. And then goes back to the blinds.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so before long, the fox comes back out. You can see that his fur is still moist, and he seems to have changed into a red jacket, and he's holding a pipe. Not that you know what a pipe is, but he's holding a thing that has like a little curl of smoke coming out of it, and every once in a while he, puts it in his mouth and sucks for a second and then blows smoke out. And he's not wearing any pants. It's just the smoky jacket, but he's a fox, so. Says, seems like we've settled in. Is dinner about ready? Well, it would have been ready. Technically, it was already ready, and then you brought more people over, so I'm having to make more. And yes, it is almost ready. All right, yeah, okay, thank you. Well, everyone, and all of you, again, like, I haven't pointed it out yet, but the roof is also too short. All of you are having to crouch to one level or another, and Akalupu is, like, basically having to crawl.
Like squats.
Exactly. Doing like a sumo squat while you walk around.
Basically. Well, actually, it's more like a Russian dance squat.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, so he says, well, so he grabs one of those weird rectangular objects off of the shelf and he moves one of those things around the altar and sits down on it. Says, well, dinner's supposed to be about ready. If you'd like to take a seat.
Hi. Am I? Yeah, I'm gonna wander back in and be like, excuse me, Mister, what is your name?
Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox.
Sky Fox.
Sky Fox.
Fantastic.
You know what we are.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I mean, we seem to be or at least I seem. I don't know if I'm like aware enough of everyone else, but I seem to be transmorphing into some sort of bird.
Well, that must be rather distressing. You look the same to me. Well, I mean, that's when I met you.
Kind of mutter off and start to talk to myself.
Alright. So, do people join him at the table?
I did.
Stand
I
next
sat
to the
at
table.
When I was asking my question.
Akalupu was going to
Very
attempt to sit
adeptly, I
next
walked
to
up, pulled up a chair, kind of subconsciously, and sat in it.
Yeah, it seems that you perhaps have actually been in a place like this before. At some point, though you don't remember when or where. The rest of you are able to sit down. It's way too small for everyone. The chairs are far too small for you, but they seem to hold your weight generally. So you're just like sitting there on like kid stools, basically. Like imagine adults sitting down at like a pretend tea party for children. That's what it looks like. With you just like hunched over the table, your knees are like all the way up in your face. And so before long, the rabbit comes out and she sets the table. There were already dishes and these rolled up cloths with some sort of utensils in them, made again out of this shiny silver metal. And she starts setting out some serving platters. She takes some sort of thicker cloth, puts it underneath, puts the soup on top of it. She brings out and something you've never seen before. These very I don't know what's the way to describe this. Kind of like an earthy scent, but also slightly sweet. And they are golden, and they look kind of crispy, and they're shaped, about the size of like a person's fist. And they're set up in a bowl, and next to it is another thing you don't recognize, like a stick of some sort of soft yellowish material, and a knife sitting next to it. And then she sets out these clear objects with kind of like a tallish bowl-shaped thing, and she fills them all with water. And then she places bowls made of some sort of white material in front of all of you. And then sits down and says, well, everyone's welcome to serve themselves, I guess. As Mr. Fox is already ladling soup into his bowl. Says, how rude of me. Guess first, please.
Mono Anui's gonna ladle himself some food. Some
Akalupu
grub.
tries to use
Aklu tries to use what?
his hand to get the soup into his bowl. Actually, he's probably not quite that dumb. He probably just takes his bowl and like just dips it, like just uses his bowl
scoops it with
and
the
just
bowl.
like scoops it with the bowl.
Yeah, and then you definitely do just drink your soup. I don't think you even get to where you're like realizing that the fox is using one of those metal things to scoop it out. Into his
No,
mouth.
Akalupu has already all he's done with those metal things because they're shiny is put them back.
Yeah. Sammy also similarly looks like very confused and eventually gives up and also drinks her soup.
PPOP stabs all the meat cubes in the stew with his knife.
Aren't you trying to keep the fact that you have that knife still hidden?
I couldn't resist. I have to use it.
Alright, so knife is no longer hidden.
Is he doing that, or is there like some sort of like a butter knife or something?
Yeah, or you could use, there's a, one of the metal objects has a bunch of little stabby bits on the end of it.
Ooh, I'll use that. That looks fun. That's like multiple stabs in one go.
And thus the fork was invented. Yeah, alright. So she looks rather annoyed at it, but doesn't say anything in this case. So dinner is absolutely amazing. Those odd things that you don't recognize are bread, rolls. They're amazing. You know, this is probably your first time having carbs.
Akalupu eats.
Yeah. Yeah. And so dinner is fairly pleasant. The fox tries to strike up a conversation a couple of times, but every time he does, his wife immediately just kind of like strikes it down.
I have a question. Is like Sammy facing away from everybody? Like, are we like what are we doing about that?
Yes, Sammy is in another room.
Okay.
Took her food and left.
Okay.
And so the fox is like, "Oh, you don't need to go. It's fine. No, I'm sorry. It's one of our kapu. It's like a rule, I guess. Anyway, I should just go." Oh, all right.
What are the rest of us doing about the fact that do we not like realize the rabbit is a girl?
That is a good question. What do you do about that?
Matawanui does nothing because he thinks we're all superstitious, crazy people. So he keeps.
I think Akalupu is just kind of like angling his body away from the rabbit.
Well, you have
So
to do
that
more than that. You have to at least face the you have to turn your chair around and face the opposite direction.
Penelope's too busy stabbing meat to realize what's going on. There's a lot happening. Kapu is not at the front of the mind.
Indeed. Alrighty. So dinner progresses quietly and a bit awkwardly, but dinner itself is very good. And yeah, you guys wrap up. The rabbit finishes before any of the rest of you and immediately busies herself about cleaning.
As soon as she's finished eating, Akalupu turns back around.
So yeah, after a little while, you hear Sammy kind of like knock on one of the doors, and she says, "Are you guys done?"
All clear.
All right. So she comes in and brings her stuff and sees the rabbit kind of huffing around the kitchen cleaning things, and it's like, "Oh, I can help," and proceeds to then just make things worse because she does not understand how any of it works. So yeah. And the fox says, "Well, it's been great having you over, I guess. I'm gonna go out for a smoke, if that's all right. Yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. Okay, well, if anyone wants to join me, I have a couple of spare pipes."
I think I shall join you, Mr.
Fox, Mr.
God,
Fox.
Fox. That's right. I think I shall join you.
And I'm
By
gonna
the way,
go
am I
see
still under the
Ka.
curse? Am I getting older every day?
Yeah.
Like
No,
more older than a day, I guess I should say.
yeah, so you are aging 1 year every day. However, it's not like
Okay.
1 year for a human, so it's not like you're visibly like sprouting your beard out and like becoming more wrinkled by the second.
Okay. Cool. Just curious.
But yes, you are still aging, and you feel even crappier every day than you did the day before.
These bones. So I'm gonna shamble up and follow him out of the foxhole.
Alright. Yeah, so you guys head out and presents you with a pipe, and you he teaches you how to use it and how to pack it, and lights it with a magical fire stick, and you're just like, well, I can make fire too. Magic. Yeah, and then
Akalupu asks if he can use the magic fire stick.
well, sure, well, just don't use all the fuel up, and don't light the house on fire. And yeah,
Akalupu pockets the fire stick.
you do what?
Pockets the fire stick.
You guys are just stealing all their stuff.
I know.
Y'all are terrible people. I just want to point that out.
I'm literally a thief.
You're a rogue. I'm assuming you weren't just like stealing people's stuff in the village.
Okay, no,
I mean,
that's
it's
true.
shiny.
Was it stealing or was it like voluntarily volunteered?
I mean, if it's Akalupu definitely voluntold people out of their food, I'm sure. Just like, Akalupu gets meat, you get coconut.
I only tried a few times to steal Loki's shit.
Yeah, and it generally ended up going poorly for you, where you ended up with like a tarantula that you thought was something cool, and then it bit you, because Loki was actually just pranking you the entire time. A few times you got some stuff that wasn't, set up just to prank you, but that's generally how it went.
Frickin' Loki. Glad he's not here. Or
His
is
real
he?
father. Conspiracy.
You just hear an old man off in the woods picking mushrooms. But yeah, Agalupu, after a little while, he does ask for the lighter again, because he wants to relight his pipe.
Akalupu gives it back.
Yeah, and then PvOP, so you were heading out to see Ka. So you can see that Ka has made himself a little nest. And he's piled up a bunch of plants and different fibers. And he said, well, I think it's time that I taught you something useful. And so Ka actually walks you through how to do drop spinning. Are you familiar with what that is?
I honestly have no idea what that is.
So you take it. It looks like basically like a very long stick top, and you attach fibers to it, and you spin it and drop it, and it's actually a way to make yarn and like thread and stuff.
Oh.
So he is beginning to teach you the basics of spinning and weaving. And so he keeps you there actually quite late, and does eventually walk you through to the point where you sort of get what you're doing.
Cool.
All right. Well, we have been going for almost an hour and 50 minutes. Are people ready to wrap up, or do we want to push a little further?
I'm good doing either.
I'm about ready to wrap up, I think.
Alrighty. So we'll just go a little bit further, everyone. If you're gonna go into bed, you're able to, even though everyone except Sammy and PPOP are not going to be able to use the actual beds. You're going to be like using the bed as a pillow, I guess. And yeah, you guys settle in for the night, and we will pick up with the next day. So let's wrap up as always. And what did let's go with Manawanui. What did Manawanui learn?
Manawanui learned that he knows more than he knows.
That is true. What about Akalupu?
Akalupu learned that rocks can talk. Also that he is better at remembering Kapu than certain other people who don't believe in it.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm sure that definitely won't bite you in the butt at any point. I mean, it's not like you're in the spirit world, which is like the actual origination of your ancestor. Like, this is where your ancestors go, and they're kind of the ones who enforce the Kapu.
I mean,
so
am I subject to the Kapu if my ancestors didn't practice the Kapu?
That's a good question. I mean, have you really haven't tried it out too much yet?
This is true. I've mostly just gone along with the group because, you know, I thought
you did witness me getting struck by lightning.
I haven't experienced it though.
No.
Right.
Well, I wonder if Old Man even remembers that at this point.
This is also true.
Well, I mean, just next session, go ahead and take your bead necklace off, and eat in front of Sammy, and then trying to remember what else. Don't sleep facing north. Don't do your morning stretches. I'm sure it'll go well.
See if I do.
It'll
See if I don't.
be fine.
All right, and what about PPOP?
Well, obviously PPOP learned how to drop spin, so that's pretty freaking cool.
No.
And then PPOP also learned that knives can get even sharper than he imagined.
Oh yeah. Sadly, well, I don't know. Do you want to try another stealth check and see if you're able to like re-stealth that knife? Because right now, everyone is aware. Or no, you used the fork. Okay, never mind. You're fine.
Yeah, we retconned that. I decided to use the fork instead.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you had a great time, and I